Hey everybody, right outside of Fresno, going up the freeway or highway. Wanted to shoot this quick video on one of my personal favorites of all time, Roddy Hot Rod Piper. Roddy Piper is a true great of wrestling. He's also made about 40 films. He made a lot of movies with John Carpenter. One of his taglines that he's known for, he says, "I'm here to kick some ass and chew some bubble gum. And I'm all out of bubble gum." That's what he said. The first time I saw Roddy Piper was with Mr. Gordon Soley in Georgia Championship Wrestling in about 1980, thereabouts. He wore slacks. He had a white shirt. I believe he had a tie on. I don't recall. But he had a sport coat. And he was coming in to commentate and to learn how to talk and be a color guy, if you will, for wrestling. And he was learning from the best. Mr. Give No Quarter, Take No Quarter, Gordon Soley. And we'll get to Mr. Soley sooner or later, but not today. So he would commentate, and he would talk, and he would talk, and he would talk, and he would brag, and he would brag. And he always called Mr. Soley, Mr. Soley. He said, "Okay, Mr. Soley, Mr. Gordon Soley." He was always deferential, respectful of Mr. Soley. Mr. Piper, from my understanding, started wrestling when he was 15 years old in Canada. He's from Canada. He said he had about 50 homes when he was growing up. He was a foster child. He was passed around like baggage. And when he was 15 years old, he started wrestling. And he said it was the world's shortest match. He was in there with Kurt Hennig's father. I don't know what Hennig's father's name, but his last name is Hennig. He's still around. And he said that Mr. Hennig beat him in 10 seconds. And it was not an auspicious start, but he stayed at it and he worked at it until finally, I guess, he came up with the angle of the bagpipes and the kilt and all that. I mean, he had a great run. I mean, he would wear that, he would come into that bagpipe solo, and he would have a bagpipe, and he'd be walking in with the kilt, and then people would say he was wearing a dress, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it was great stuff. And frankly, Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan would probably tell you that to himself, that Hulk Hogan wouldn't be Hulk Hogan without Piper. The feud between Hulk Hogan and Piper and Paul Orndorff and Mr. T, I mean, it was phenomenal. And as I've alluded to earlier, Mr. Piper was warned before the match with Mr. T not to hurt him, because he was going to box Mr. T, and Piper knew how to box. Piper knows how to fight. Piper's really tough. There's not any question about it. I don't know what kind of hooker he is. I don't know if he was trained in Canada up there at the Heart Foundation, but he can definitely fight. Definitely not somebody you'd want to mess with. But anyway, let's get back to it. So he was there with Mr. Soley. I guess he was a forefront of what even Mr. Jerry Lawler's doing, where there was a wrestler behind the scenes doing the commentating. And he would have lots of comments. He would talk about how he would hit, how this would happen. I remember him once talking about how to hit somebody with an open fist, and it would hurt him more than a fist, which I didn't never really try that, but he talked about it. And I remember quite vividly him having a feud with Michael Hayes during that run, where Michael Hayes was trying to win a match, and Roddy was in there putting his feet up on the apron and doing this and doing that till Michael lost the match. I remember that. And I remember one point where Roddy got into a fight to protect Gordon Soley because somebody was getting too close to Mr. Soley, and he attacked him. So it was just quite a run. He went probably 3 or 4 months without wrestling. I mean, he would just talk. And Roddy was that good at talking. I think after that, he had a run in the Carolinas with with a lot of notables. He had an unbelievable match with Greg the Hammer Valentine, or Greg the Racist Valentine. Greg is, you know, famous for his no-shows now. I really don't want to offend him because I'm sure he's a very tough guy if he's a Valentine. The Valentines are tough. But he and Greg, the Hammer Valentine, had a memorable match, a dog collar match. They were both hooked together with a 15-foot chain from neck to neck, and they had a match. And they threw each other around. They hit each other. They split each other wide open. I mean, it was a phenomenal match. And I've looked for it on YouTube. I believe I saw it on there. But it's kind of hard to find. I mean, it is one of the great matches of all time. It's right up there with when The Undertaker and Mankind had a match where Mankind came off of a 20-foot rope, a 20-foot cage onto a table, and The Undertaker slammed him again straight down on the nails. I mean, it's up there like that. I mean, this is a brutal match. And I believe at that time is when the McMahons, I don't know if it was Mr. McMahon Sr. or Mr. McMahon Jr., noticed Mr. Piper, and they brought him up to the big leagues, to the WWF at the time, or the WWF, maybe, I don't know. And it didn't take him long to figure out that this guy could talk, and he put together a show called The Piper's Pit. And this was a phenomenal idea. I mean, they spun off the Brother Love. They spun off other things. They had other people. But nobody was as good as Piper. Nobody could do what Piper could. I think one of Piper's first interviews was with an Italian-American man. I think he might even be Canadian. And he just dressed him down, told him what a loser he was, told him he wasn't no good, and then he beat him up. And on another thing, he beat up a dwarf, or a midget, if you will, beat him up. And then the famous coconuts with Jimmy Superfly Snuka, where he hit him in the head. And Jimmy, I mean, my Lord, Jimmy could take a bump. My goodness. I mean, he hit Jimmy hard. He busted a coconut lump on his head. I don't know if you've ever hit a coconut with a hammer, but they're not soft. They are not. I mean, he hit him with pineapples, he hit him with coconuts, he beat on him, and then the next thing you know, he was locked behind a steel door where Jimmy couldn't get to him. And, I mean, it was phenomenal. It was shocking. Shocking, shocking, shocking. He even did one with Andre the Giant where he didn't get over on Andre. Andre just grabbed him and pretty much scared the shit out of him. I mean, because Andre could do that. You know, Michael Hayes reports that Andre the Giant drank 108 beers at one sitting and only got up to pee once. That's what he said. So I'm not saying it's true, but, you know, I don't think Michael would lie about that. So then, somewhere at that point, somebody discovered Mr. Piper, and he went to Hollywood, and he made a bunch of movies. I mean, you could almost say he's a poor man's Kurt Russell for his acting ability, because he was phenomenal. I mean, that movie, We Are Them, or Them, I forgot the name of it. It was just great, where you had where he got these glasses, where he could really see what people really were like. And in a way, it's almost peering into the other world, or seeing the secret world of the Illuminati, and our alien and the aliens amongst us and all that. I think that was the point of the film. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying that's pretty much what that film was about and what it dealt with. So Piper today, I think he just finished with a battle with cancer. I think he's okay. I saw him recently commentating on a John Cena bit. I don't remember all the details, but he had still had his fire, and it was still great. And there's only one hot rod. There's only one hot rod, Roddy Piper. Arguably the best. I don't know. He didn't really give it a chance to be the great wrestler because he was too busy making the movies. Just like Rock. You know, The Rock had the potential to be the greatest wrestler of all time, but he decided to be a movie star instead. So it is with Mr. Piper. Thank you.